Well, I mean, by using the adjective again, missional, means that we say that missional discipleship is the kind of discipleship that allows, that takes its own responsibility in God's eternal purposes. So that we don't think that's something that just missionaries do overseas. Every disciple is an agent of the King in order to be released as such. We all carry the potential for world transformation in us. And actually, if you play that out, it actually is true. Odd people, case in point, get to kind of do things. You know, God uses weird people. And missional discipleship simply is a kind of discipleship that really aligns itself around God's purposes. But the other thing about this is that I wonder whether we actually have done discipleship all that well. We have the language of discipleship, but the reality is often missing in our churches. Epictetus, the Greek philosopher, said that it is impossible to teach a man what he thinks he already knows. We use the word discipleship again and again. So when we use the word discipleship, we think we know what it is. Where I actually think that when you go back to the scriptures, it's got a somewhat different. At best, we think it's kind of the spiritual disciplines. Prayer, Bible study, most of us don't have a process by which we encourage that necessarily. Cell groups is probably our best attempt at that. But really, the church is not focused around actually forming people in the way of Christ, becoming more and more like Jesus. And so it's a great challenge for us to kind of engage in discipleship again. And one that actually does take our role seriously as change agents, everyone as a change agent of the King.
Mm-hmm. This is the thing that I appreciate so much about what Alan brings is this idea that when we hear it, we go, well, yes, that's what we've always wanted, but we have to recognize in that statement, we haven't always been getting it. The real transformation of everyone in our churches to see themselves as sent, somehow on mission and transforming their own lives and the community around them. That's the part that excites me about this whole thing.
It's interesting. So like the Great Commission, of course, is a commission we've often interpreted as evangelism. So we have evangelistic. We're a Great Commission church. And what we mean by that is we're evangelistic. But I would say that if you go back to the Great Commission in Matthew 28, it says, go out into all the world and make disciples of the nations, teaching them to obey all that I've commanded you. That's not an evangelistic commission. That's a discipleship commission. And so I think one of the challenges is that what we're doing wrong is we've confused evangelism with discipleship. And I think we need to reframe that we have to reframe evangelism within the context of discipleship, which is another missional kind of reinterpretation of it. So we just disciple the nations. That's what we get to do. It's fun. But it means that we have to relate to people and engage in their lives in a more significant manner over longer periods of time, not just simply give them information about Jesus and as if that relieves me of my obligation to them.
So the disciple is this fully orbed thing that involves all of life.
And Jesus intends it, that actually this is really part of his grand conspiracy to make a whole lot of little Jesuses all over the place.